Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GinJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Tuesday, August 13th. Jaguars training camp practice number 15 in the books. The final practice before Jaguars joint practices with the Buccaneers. The Bucs come to town tomorrow. They will have 2 joint practices, and then those 2 teams will face off on Saturday. Press Taylor spoke with the media before practice. We had full pads today. You had some field goal opportunities for Cam Little. You had some 4-on-4, 7-on-7, 11-on-11, had a full period of just running the ball. So a lot of action today. We're going to dive into it. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out ginjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear like the hat I am wearing right now. Become a channel member on YouTube. Get some cool perks, including discounts at ginjag.com. Again, really appreciate all y'all being here. Appreciate the channel members helping me out a ton here. So again, Press Taylor talking to the media before practice. He was asked about Brian Thomas Jr.'s performance in preseason week 1. He said that catch was awesome, and you saw how excited his teammates were for him to make that catch because he has been a nose to the grindstone, axe to the grindstone, just work hard, diligent, paying attention in all the meetings, trying to take everything in, trying to get the job done, hard-working guy from the moment he's gotten here, and you haven't seen a lot of mental mistakes from him. And so his teammates are fired up for him. He's kind of a quiet player, obviously, still trying to come out of his shell a little bit. And I think Gabe Davis and Christian Kirk, guys, are trying to help him out with that and trying to make sure that he's as comfortable as he can be. But seeing him make that catch, it was really big for Brian Thomas Jr.'s confidence. It was big for the entire team to see him be able to do that in the game setting. So good stuff there from Press Taylor. Talked about calling plays from the field. Last year he was in the press box, no pun intended, and it wasn't the press box, but, right by the press box where the coaches that are not on the field are. So he was calling plays from upstairs, but this past weekend called plays from the field. He liked doing it and said he's going to do it again this week. So still no confirmation on what's going to happen with play calling on the offensive side of the ball come September. But for right now, throughout the preseason, it's going to be Press Taylor's duties. He said he likes the situations you can get in joint practices. You can work a lot of different scenarios that you can't really work necessarily in a game. You just don't know how game flow is going to work out, but you can focus on specific scenarios and situations and do it against a different team. He says, at this point in camp, you're going up against guys that you go up against every day, and you start to get a little familiar, and being able to go up against a different team is certainly beneficial. Says that the joint practices also amp up the competitiveness, certainly, and the unknown of certain situations of going up against different guys that you haven't gone against, 15 times now at this point. You can test calls and schemes. So he's excited about the work they can get in, says they'll be very productive. Asked about Tank Bigsby, he said that Tank is an appropriate name for him, certainly. A guy who he is very happy with how he has grown going into year 2 and the physicality he brings to the running back room. Said Cooper Hodges showed physicality in his first preseason game. Good to see that from him. Obviously dealt with the knee injury last year, and Cooper Hodges is a guy that the Jaguars like a lot. A lot of fans like him. He's from Baker County, so a player that I think the Jags are looking to continue to develop long term. I asked Press Taylor about Jalen Jackson, the backup running back who's fighting for a roster spot, fighting to earn his place in the league as a rookie out of Villanova. He said that he likes a lot of what he's seen, and I do too, obviously. I think he's done a fantastic job. He had another good day today. But he said one thing specifically about Jalen Jackson is that he likes how he's taken to coaching points and then implementing them out on the field. Like he said early on in camp, there was a time where outside zone, they're really teaching it's going to be one cut. You're probably not going to get that second cut in a game. The speed is much faster in real game settings. And so Jalen Jackson took that coaching point, and then you saw him execute and just try to hit the one cut and get upfield. And so that's the type of thing these coaches are looking for. And I think it's cool to hear that from Press Taylor as well. As I mentioned, they did have full pads today, so more contact than yesterday. It was more physical. It was a morning practice. We were all thankful for that. At least I know all the media was. Even though you got to get up a little earlier, not nearly as hot out there, a lot more shade. Cam Little had a very, very good practice. Early on, he was perfect, and he was perfect until the very end of practice where he did miss one kick, but he had plenty of opportunities early on and then throughout the team portion of practice. And later in practice during 11 on 11, they were working a little bit of a end of half field goal scenario, deep field goals. He did miss one, like I mentioned, but he's been really impressive. His confidence is awesome. You had some 4-on-4, 11 on 11, again, the full running period, run game period. So looking at some of the things I saw during those, you started with 4-on-4. You had Trevor Lawrence completing a tight window pass to Gabe Davis that was impressive. Brian Thomas Jr. continuing to do well. Joshua Cephas almost had a great catch, and you did have the officials, referees out there for the first time of camp today. They're going to be out there during the joint practices. Cephas almost had a great catch. It was right in front of me. I could see the 1 foot he had to go up and extend for the football pass from CJ Beathard. It was a little bit better pass, more accurate pass. I think Cephas certainly comes down with it in bounds, but the 1 foot got down. The other foot, you saw it hit the white, and the referee saw the same thing I saw. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to get that down, but he was pretty active today, had a good day, and that was a nice attempt from him on probably a pass that wasn't the very best. 11 on 11. You had that next, and then 7-on-7. Then you also saw some 1-on-1s during 7-on-7, and they closed out with that 11-on-11 period where they're kind of trying to get into those field goal situations. But the first 11-on-11 period, you did see Mac Jones had a fumbled snap. You want to make sure you can clean that sort of thing up. You saw Brian Thomas Jr. have a run for a big gain. We're not supposed to talk about play calls or designs or anything like that, but Josh Hines-Allen almost snuffed it out, but BTJ had a run for a big gain. You can probably kind of read between the lines on what might have happened on that one, but that was impressive by him. Jalen Jackson and Brightwell running strong. Brightwell came in, I believe, a little over a week ago, number 35, replacing Lorenzo Lingard, but I think he's been pretty impressive. And as I mentioned, Jalen Jackson's been awesome. Getting into 7-on-7 a little bit, ETN had a drop from Trevor Lawrence. It was out of the backfield. It was a pass down the field a little bit, intermediate pass. Trevor Lawrence put some heat on it, which he needs to in that scenario, in my opinion. He put it on him, and I think ETN should have caught it. Is it possible that Lawrence could throw that one with a little bit more touch? Maybe, but there's going to be tight windows in games. I thought that was one that ETN should have hauled in, certainly. Like yesterday when you had the Bigsby one that was really short and Lawrence put it on him with some heat, I thought Lawrence probably did need to take a little bit off that one. But this one, I think that it was more on ETN than anything else. Tim Jones, he had one that was a little high from Lawrence that I thought he probably should have caught. Probably a guy like a Gabe Davis or a Brian Thomas Jr. does catch that one. And then Brian Thomas Jr., speaking of, he had a nice sideline catch. So he had a very active day today and did a good job. Then Jalen Jackson had an unbelievable contested catch, had to go up and get it, tight coverage. Thought it was going to be difficult for him to come down with it because he had to really elevate and then come down to the ground, and he was able to haul that in, so that was impressive by him. Tavon Campbell almost picked off a CJ Beathard pass, and then Eric Hallett did pick one off, but it was not the quarterback's fault. It was not CJ Beathard's fault. Brevin Easton bobbled it, and Eric Hallett was right there to grab it from him and pick it off. So good heads-up play from Hallett. Easton obviously would like to have that one back. Getting into one-on-ones, offensive line versus defensive line a little bit. I did see Josh Hines-Allen, Still trying to get used to that. Still preseason for everyone here. Josh Hines-Allen crushing it out there, doing a great job. I saw Travis Gibson get Cam Robinson on an inside move. I thought that was pretty impressive. Breland Speaks continues to impress me as well. He's looking really good. Mason Smith is looking solid. Number 90, who I'm still trying to learn his name, is looking really good as well. Guys really competing their butts off out there on the defensive line. 11 on 11, the final period again, where you're working, it seemed like end of half scenarios or scenarios where you're just trying to get into a field goal situation. Trevor Lawrence completed one downfield to Britton Strange. That was nice to see from Lawrence to Strange. Strange got wide open. Completed one to Elijah Cooks where there was really tight coverage from Jarian Jones, and Cooks was able to kind of go up and get it. Didn't have to go off his feet, but he had to extend for the football, and that was an impressive play from both Lawrence and Cooks. You did see false starts were a bit of a problem today. I think there were 3 of them during practice, so coaches aren't going to like that. You're going to want to clean that up. Mason Smith, I think he would have had a sack on CJ Beathard in a live period, or in an in-game scenario, he continues to impress. Devin Duvernay had a very active day, several catches for him during the team portion of practice. He continues to just be that steady type of guy who brings a lot of speed to the field and catches pretty much everything thrown his way. Chris Myrick stood out more than he has today. The tight end the Jaguars brought in, number 38. He had the most catches I've seen from him in a practice, so good to see him showing out well. Parker Washington had a fantastic catch in tight coverage. It was awesome. One of those ones where you're like, there's no way he's going to haul that in, but he did. So Parker continues to play well. Brevin Easton had another almost catch where it was an impressive play on the ball by him, but couldn't keep control as he went to the ground. This is a player that I think there's been ups and downs throughout camp. He clearly has talent. I think he's the type of guy you might want to keep on your practice squad to continue to develop because he's got some skills. And then the final play of team, I believe it was the final play. Austin Trammell hit Dearness Johnson for a huge gain. Again, not trying to give away what that play might have been, but you have Austin Trammell, a wide receiver, thrown to running back Dearness Johnson. Trick play. That's all I'll say there, but it was an impressive way to kind of cap off practice and have a good time there. And Dearness Johnson, I think he would have housed that one. Tashaun Gipson, Jaguars' new old safety, guy that's been here before. He's back in Jacksonville. He spoke to the media after practice, and y'all absolutely should go watch it. Very insightful player. He's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of wisdom, clearly, based on a lot of the things he was saying, and he's excited to be back in Jacksonville. Said he has love for the city, the organization. He's excited to be with Eric Armstead again as well. Spent 2 years in San Francisco where Eric Armstead and Tashaun Gipson were both integral parts of the 49ers defense. So obviously he's suspended for the first 6 games, and because of that, he values the fact that the Jaguars brought him in even more. He said that really means a lot to him. He's going to compete to try to make this football team. And since he is suspended, he won't have to be on the initial 53. We'll see how it ends up playing out, but I hope Tashaun Gipson can stick around here because he's a good guy and a guy that still, in my opinion, even at 34 years old, has shown the ability to play. Hasn't gotten much opportunity yet in Jacksonville, but just looking at him last year, another big season for him. So I think he's a player that I would like to see stick around and just a good dude and a guy who you have a lot of fond memories with in Jacksonville. He talked about that 2017 team a lot. So go watch that interview, Jaguars.com or Jaguars Twitter, YouTube, whatever it is that you watch videos on. Go check that out. You'll want to hear what Tashaun Gipson had to say. But really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I am going to be out of town the next 2 days, so this is the final training camp practice for me. After preseason week 2, the Jaguars kind of start going into regular season mode, even though there's one more preseason game. I will be covering the team throughout the entire season, so keep it locked here. You can follow me on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo as well. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out ginjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear, become a channel member here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one.